mean, so if you look at the syllabus, it's not that I will follow, you know, topic number 1, topic number 2, topic number 3. Okay, so it will just be following the sequence of the chapters. Okay, but then the components will be covered lah. Okay, as part of the the flow of your thesis. So at least you can see how actually you want to develop your thesis. Okay, so going back to this particular thesis on FDI. Okay, so we have, so, and again, don't forget lah to submit your your chapter 1, which is due on this coming Sunday, kan? Okay, so there are some students who ask me the difference between introduction and background of the study. So introduction is just 1 or 2 lines. Okay, just gonna mention the next, this chapter will be discussing about the background, something like that lah. So basically most of the discussion of the introduction or background will be in 1.2. Okay, which I specify for the for next Sunday submission is just maximum 4 pages. Okay, of course you need to write more than that in your final project. Okay, but just for the sake of looking at whether every group has at least some idea or on, you know, what you want to do. Okay, so that will be fine for me lah. Okay, but not 4 pages lah. I mean, in total for the rest of the project. Okay, so once you have developed the idea, okay, what you want to do, what is your research problem, okay, what is the problem, what is the main issue that you want to highlight in the problem statement, and then you develop a few questions. Okay, I require a maximum of 3 research questions. Okay, and then follow suit by the objective of the study. Okay, so these are the most important one lah. Okay, 1.2 until 1.5. So once you are clear what you want to do, basically before you even develop your problem statement, okay, you need to do a bit of some reading. Okay, maybe not a lot of reading, but considerable amount of reading if you were to do your own project in your semester 7, or whether you are doing a full master thesis one day. Okay, but for you to actually understand what you want to do, what is the issue, you need to do reading, a lot of reading from past studies. Okay, especially from journals. Okay, because thesis are not really your main source of reference. It will be journal papers and also conference papers, especially journal, because journals are published work that has been reviewed, that has gone through a lot of screening process before any article can be published. So that's why the number 1 source of reference is journal. Okay, so even though thesis is a published work, but thesis is not as readily available, okay, compared to journal. Journal you can access, you can download the paper more easily, and then because journal is more is considerably shorter than a thesis, just around 15-20 pages long on average. Okay, so it's more straightforward. The focus of the issue is much smaller, and so that's why we go for journals. So during your reading of your articles, and then from there, then you will find what is the issue that you want to actually investigate. Okay, when you go through a list of a sufficient amount of articles that you read, okay, I'm talking about actual process of doing a project or a thesis. Okay, of course, for this semester, okay, because you are working in group and given the short time, that's why I only ask every group to find, a thesis or, journals that you can refer to, and you can replicate, okay, duplicate or replicate the project. Okay, it's just what I'm concerned is you only modify a bit, okay, update a little bit to reflect the current scenario, for example, to reflect the COVID-19 issue. And so these are the things lah, okay. And if the thesis that you follow maybe like 7-6 years old, was written like back in 2016, 2015, So you need to update the references, refer more recent articles. So that is what I need most of the time. But you can do a very similar project from in terms of the scope, the topic, the research questions. You can just follow whichever thesis that you think that you can do. Okay, so hopefully the title that you suggested, okay, in the Google Sheet will stay that way lah. Okay, you can still change, but not maybe after approaching week 8 or week 9, suddenly you want to change. So that's why you need, because we're already in week number 5. Okay, so you need to actually start focusing on developing your questionnaire, okay, and doing other things lah, not still thinking whether you can what topic that you want to do. Okay, so the next part of thesis will be writing your literature review. Okay, as what we discussed last Monday. Okay, a literature review we comprise of 2 sections. One is the theory section. The other one will be a summary review of the past articles, past journals related to the topic that you are doing. So I mean, of course, when you go through the thesis collection, okay, there is no one specific format that you need to follow. It depends on the topic, depend on the title, depend on the supervision, the idea of the supervisor. But the thesis that I'm showing you right now from this item number 2, okay, is the one of the ideal one lah, the best example that you can follow. You divide into 2 parts. One is the theory which is related to the issue that you are doing, and second part will be the summary of the articles. Okay, you can divide the subtitle according to the research question or according to the variables that you are focusing to answer. Okay, so that will be an ideal way. So at least you have a clear idea. Okay, if you want to ask the question whether variable A and variable B, okay, intention to do entrepreneurial activity, is it related to education? Okay, so the relationship between education and entrepreneurial activity can be one item under the empirical study. So you're going to find articles that have looked at this issue. Okay, meaning that it's not like the title of the journal must be exactly about education and entrepreneur, but the content, okay, one of the research question of that particular journal will be looking at that factor as well. So you can summarize, you can use that article to extract the findings and put it in the empirical studies. Okay, so we will go through few examples how you need to write your literature review. Okay, so and then the most important thing is the correct way to cite. Okay, now when you write your literature review, how do you cite the name of the authors? Okay, so that is, I think, one of the most common mistakes that students do. Okay, whether undergraduate, masters, or even at PhD level. Okay, so this mistake is still a very common mistakes, okay, among students. So I would just maybe open a few, at random lah, thesis, maybe the one that we have already discussed before, or any other thesis. Okay, so just focusing on the literature review section. Okay, and then just to see how it's not about the content. Okay, I'm more interested about how the student actually, how do you can follow certain thesis, okay, the way actually to summarize the article. Okay, so for example, like thesis number 12, okay, the effect of cost of living, okay, on household debt. Okay, so the literature review, if you go through from the beginning of chapter 2, the beginning of this chapter, okay, in this thesis. Okay, so literature review. Okay, so you can refer to thesis number 12. Okay, after this. Okay, so the focus is about the household debt. Okay, so you can see that even this thesis also is start with the theory. Okay, similar to what I mentioned just now, the first part should be on the theory, and then it can follow the second part. You can discuss more on the empirical findings. Theory means what are the theories related to the issue. So if the topic is about hutang, household debt and the cost of living, so there must be some theories. Okay, for example, this student uses the life cycle model. So again, this is based on your reading. Okay, when you read journal, you read thesis, you just follow what is the commonly used theory related to the issue lah. So meaning if you got one or two theses that you are referring to, so just follow what the authors, what the students actually use, okay, to describe to use the theory to describe the relationship between the variables that you are looking at. For example, you are looking at the impact of inflation, okay, on economic growth. So you must find a theory that explain the between inflation and economic growth. What is the theory that is in economy that we use to visualize when inflation goes up, what happened to economic growth and whatnot. Okay, so that is the theoretical part. Okay, of course, in the theory, you also need to refer lah, whether from textbook. Okay, so the way actually that you want to, for example, okay, I'm not going through every single item. Okay, so if you look at, for example, this part, okay, treatment 1957. Okay, so there are two common ways when you want to cite. One is you write the name of the surname lah. Okay, the surname of the author. Okay, Friedman in bracket the year. Okay, so you don't write the full name lah. Even though if you go to the reference list, okay, if you type Friedman, okay, and then okay, yeah, so this part. So the full name is so Friedman is the surname lah, okay. Friedman M, okay, Friedman, M 1957. So this is the main article lah, where I mean when you mention Friedman 1957, so the name Friedman must appear as the name that you cite in the article. Okay. So for example, okay, Fisher and Shell. Okay, Fisher and Shell 1972. So if you type Fisher, see how the student actually cited the article. I mean the paper from Fisher. Fisher. Okay, for example, this one, Fisher and Shell. Okay, so Fisher and Shell 1972. Okay, as supported by Fisher and Shell bracket 1972. So this is the first way lah, how you want to cite an article, okay, from a book or from a journal. Okay, so the name in bracket the year lah, okay, Fisher and Shell. So as supported by according to Fisher and Shell 1972. So the following sentence ni is supposed to refer to what Fisher and Shell 1972 mentioned lah. Okay, so in many cases, sometimes you don't even need to, I mean, of course, the best way, especially if you're doing PhD, you need to read the original article. Okay, but I think at your level, undergraduate, okay, maybe you don't need to go and read lah. But of course, the ideal way is to read the original article and find where does this paragraph come from. Okay, or at least the idea from, because you cannot copy and paste exactly from Fisher and Shell this line, because then it will come under plagiarism. You need to rewrite, okay, put it in your own context, as long as the meaning is still the same. Okay, that's how you write lah. If you are referring to Fisher and Shell, you cannot go to the exact article and then copy and paste, because that is also part of plagiarism, because when you go for turning in will detect as similarity. I mean, as the it will increase the similarity index. So you cannot pass, you cannot submit your project when the sentences are exactly the same. So you need to rewrite. So this is where the skill of writing lah comes in. So you need to rewrite, change the context. Okay, so even though you are using some thesis, okay, as your reference, so that thesis has been published. Okay, so if you copy and paste the sentences directly from the thesis, so when you submit for turning in, or when I submit for turning in, that sentence will be detected as plagiarism lah. So you need to rewrite the sentences. For example, if you are using Fisher and Shell from this particular thesis, so you need to see how you can modify or restructure the sentence, so that when you submit into turning in, this sentence becomes your own sentence, no longer belong to this particular thesis. Okay, so this is the first way. Okay, Fisher and Shell. Okay, and then you can go through lah. For example, Keynes 1936. So you put the name of the author in bracket the year the article is published. Okay, so this is the first way how you want to cite an article. Okay, so of course this is in chapter 3. Okay, but my concern, okay, and then secondly is et al. Okay, when do you use et al? Okay, I don't have, I mean, this actually you need to follow very closely, because you cannot simply put et al anywhere that you like. Okay, okay, based on a study done in developing country, Maniago et al. 2013 utilized the VECM approach. So again, this is the name of the author, okay, followed by in bracket the year. Okay, so meaning that the way you want to cite, okay, according to Maniago et al. 2013, okay, et al. Means more than one author lah. Okay, usually 3 and above. If you are only using 2 authors, you put the name as just now, Fisher and Shell. Okay, one person and 2 person, you put the name of the authors. Okay, Joe and John. Okay, so if the only 2 authors or 1 author, you put the both of the names in the citation, when you refer to that article. But 3 and above, usually 3, 4, and 5. Okay, you put the first one as it appear in the article. Okay, so for example, if you type Maniago, okay, and then see the original, I mean the full reference in the reference list. Okay, so this is Maniago et al. As it appear in the text just now. So how many authors are here? Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, Maniago C, Mukadem Putem, nama apa ni? Okay, Peterson, and then Peterson MA, and also Mongil IP. Okay, so when you have 3 or more authors, okay, the way to cite, if you are referring to this article, Maniago et al. Okay, because you cannot put Maniago and Maniago, Peterson, Maniago and Peterson and Mongil. That one only apply if 1 or 2. For example, Mian and Sufi. So Mian and Sufi, you can put according to Mian and Sufi 2011. Because there are only 2 authors. But when the article is written by more than 2 authors, 3 and above, you need to cite as et al. Okay, so et al. Means is an acronym lah to mention Maniago and others. Maniago dan lain-lain lah. Okay, so et al. But the way you want to write et al. Must be the name, et, and then al dot. Okay, so some student put Maniago et dot al dot, so it's wrong lah. So et ni tak ada, there is no dot, okay, or ni lah. So Maniago et al, okay, al followed by the dot, and then in bracket the year. Okay, so for example here, Justiano et al, okay, in the top here, okay, Justiano et al 2015. Okay, so yeah, so this is the second way, I mean the second style of citing an article. Okay, past study done by Justiano et al, meaning that this article is written by Justiano and more than 2 other authors. Okay, in the year 2015. Okay, Justiano et al 2015. Okay, Maniago et al 2015. So make sure that when you write, when you are writing because the marks that is awarded to your project, it does not only I'm not just concerned about the content, but also the way, because the way you write because writing a thesis is not simply writing nice sentences, good points, but also following the proper way of writing. Okay, for example, if you remember when you dekat sekolah menengah in your secondary school, okay, in subjek bahasa Melayu. If you ask if you ask to write an essay about syarahan or different type of essay, okay, pidato or menulis surat or whatever lah. So different essay style has its different way of writing. You cannot simply use one style when the instruction for the essay is for a different style. Okay, so the same for academic writing. Okay, part of the marks awarded for your academic writing is also following the proper way, the correct way of writing lah. Okay, so you cannot, especially when it comes to citing, because as I mentioned last Monday, the difference between academic writing and newspaper writing is academic writing we refer to journal, articles, thesis, conference papers as evidence, okay, bukti lah to support our to make sure that what we are doing, okay, is supported by other people. Okay, our findings, what we find in our thesis is also found in other thesis, because meaning that we don't simply write because whatever that we do mesti ada some reference, okay, or other articles that we can refer to. Okay, that is academic writing. You cannot write something, investigate an issue, and then when you want to come to the conclusion, you cannot simply write, okay, the conclusion of my research is A, B, C, D. Okay, but whatever that you find, you must compare your findings and other people's findings, whether your findings are similar, the same, or opposite. Okay, if it's opposite, why is it opposite? Okay, so that is academic writing. So that's why referring to articles, other articles, is part of the process. Okay, so in literature review, the reason why we need literature review section is to show that the issue that we want to justify in the problem statement, why the issue exists, why the issue is important, because when you put in the literature review, okay, the reason when we refer to other articles is that we want to show that there are many other authors that also looking at the same issues, and why for example, you want to investigate between for example, the one that we discussed last time on entrepreneurial intention and among undergraduates. So what are the factors that will influence undergraduates to involve in entrepreneurial activity? So all the factors that you want to ask in your research questions, okay, who actually mentioned those factors are important one. Academic education, those I think we discussed around 3 factors, okay, 3 main variables that the thesis mentioned. Okay, so who actually suggested that you need to look at education, you need to look at other factors, okay, as part of the variables that can influence entrepreneurial intention. So that's where you need to put in the empirical study, because you cannot simply come out, okay, I want to look at factor A, factor B, factor C as a determinant of entrepreneurial activity. Okay, 3 faktor ni boleh mempengaruhi intention to do entrepreneur. But why suddenly, where do you know this information? Where do you get this information from? Why these 3 factors are important? Who says these 3 factors are important? So that is the purpose of having a literature review. Okay, whatever that you want to investigate in your paper must be mentioned by other people. Okay, whether it's according to theory, according to the past studies. Okay, sometimes the theory is very general, is very simple. Okay, the theory only says factor A can influence B. Okay, but according to studies, they expand the variable into more other factors, meaning that the theory only says A can influence B. Okay, but according to journals, okay, not only A, but X, Y, Z can also influence B. Okay, so so when you want to include other factors that can influence the variable that you want, for example, the entrepreneurial activity, okay, so you need to justify, you need to mention why you want, the reason why you want to look at these factors, because Mr. A, John, Farrell, whomever lah that you refer to in your literature review, mention that these factors are important factors, okay, to that can influence entrepreneurial activity. So that's why, and then so it's like you are providing the evidence so that when you want to choose these factors as part of your research question, you at least I'm as the reader lah, okay, as the examiner of your thesis, I know the reason why you are looking at these factors. The reason why, because these factors are mentioned in your literature review as being the important factors. So you don't simply goreng lah or create on your own. Okay, so these factors must be mentioned in your literature review as the main variables that influence the issue that you are looking at. Okay, so going back to this thesis just now, so the first way of citing is the name followed by the year. Okay, and this apply only if the article is written by one person or two person. Moroki and let's say John, 2014. Okay, but if more than two people, three and above, you must put et al. Okay, et et al. Dot in bracket followed by in bracket the year of the article is published. So that is the second way how you want to refer to an article in your, whether in your introduction. Okay, remember that in your introduction also you can start referring to articles, not only in chapter 2. Okay, but chapter 2 you have more pages lah that you can allocate to discuss the article. Okay, for example here, if you look at this particular thesis here, the effect of cost of living lah. The title is apa dia? The title of this thesis is the effect of cost of living on household debt, hutang isi rumah. Okay, so I think this is a PhD, a PhD thesis. So it's that's why it's almost 300 pages long. Okay, but again, I'm not really concerned about the length, but more on how actually you want to write. You can see here, even in the introduction in chapter 1, the student already cited some papers, okay, just to provide evidence that these are the people who mentioned these factors. But we don't really discuss too much, because discussion about this article will be focused more in the chapter 2 in the literature review. Okay, but in the introduction you can mention a few articles, okay, just to give more support, more evidence on your background of the study. Okay, but the discussion about what Meng et al. Said, what Maniago et al. Said, this will be discussed more in detail in chapter 2. Okay, so when you go through these examples in your reading, so you please, don't simply read just to complete your project, but also try to understand the style of writing. Okay, how so I'm looking for this also in your introduction. Okay, your introduction cannot just be you write and write and write without having any source of reference. Okay, for example, if you are referring to some article, just to justify that, okay, for example, COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19 is has caused the world economy the economic growth of Malaysia, for example, to drop by how many percent of GDP. So who says this? According to whom? If it's according to the Department of Statistics, you need to put the reference in your writing. You cannot simply make a statement without referring to the original source of that, where the article comes from lah, or where the information that you get comes from. So that is academic writing. Okay, so going back to the style of citing. Okay, so the first is the name followed by the year, if one person or two persons. Okay, and then you have the et al style. Okay, Lavender and Parent, two persons. Still, you mentioned both of the names. Okay, but three or more, we put et al. Okay, you can see here sometimes ada A or B. Okay, Dibel 2004 A. So why you have A here? Okay, so A is when Dibel published two articles in the same year. So for example, if you look at Dibel, Debelle, you can see this one is Dibel B. Okay, Dibel B 2004. The previous one was Dibel A. Okay, so if you look at the reference, okay, you can see here Dibel appear twice, meaning in the same year, the same author published two articles. So you cannot put just Dibel 2004 because then we do not know which article are you referring to. So if the same author published two articles in the same year, okay, you can put the first article or any article as A or the second article as B because both are written in the same year or published in the same year. So that's why sometimes you will find that either A or B, okay, at the end of the year. Okay, A or B or sometimes even C, A, B, C means three articles were published by the same author or same authors, okay, in the same year. Okay, so that is why you got A and B lah, okay, in the citation. Okay, so just now we mentioned Maniago et al. Okay, the word et al means when three or more authors wrote that paper. So you need to put et al. Okay, so you put the name by following or according to Maniago et al, comma, ni satu bentuk lah, one style of writing. But in many places, okay, the name of the author that you refer to is at the end of the sentence. For example here, okay, let me find something a bit more simple, okay, to show you. Okay, so this is chapter 2, right? Okay, for example, this one. Okay, so in this one, you can see some previous experts like Asjan. Okay, so in this particular sentence, the student is referring to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 authors, okay, or 4 papers lah. Asjan, Shapiro, Elving, and Davidson. Okay, so I'm not sure why the student put semicolon. For me, it's supposed to be just comma, not semicolon. Okay, let me. Ini I think. Okay, correct. Semicolon. Okay. So if you are referring in the same sentence, okay, more than let's say just now, according to Maniago et al. Okay, and then comma, you write your sentence. But if you are referring to more than one article in one sentence, okay, according to or some experts like Asjan, the year, okay, so the next will be the semicolon here, okay, Shapiro and Sokol, and then Elving 2009, and Davidson 1995. So this is when you write the author's name in within the same sentence, meaning that it's not the end of the sentence you refer to this paper. So this is one style of writing, meaning that the author's name appear dalam ayat. Okay, it appears in the same within the text. So this is how you want to cite the first author, and then the name of the author, bracket the year, and then colon as semicolon. Okay, second author, semicolon, and so forth lah. Okay, so apa tu? And then you write lah whatever sentence that these people have in common. So basically, these people that have in common is that they mention that these people develop entrepreneurial intention model. So entrepreneurial intention model here has been developed by these authors. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 4 people, what they have in common, all of these four authors are the one who developed entrepreneurial intention model. So not only one person, but many other people have developed this model. Okay, so this is one way of writing. if you are citing someone, citing a paper or more than one paper, but inside the text, okay, so you put like this. Okay, but another common way of citing a paper is that the name of the authors will appear at the end of the sentence. Okay, for example, this one. This is known as the Shapiro-Kruger model. And then bracket, the author's name, full stop. So this sentence is referring to this author Kruger. But the name Kruger is at the end of the sentence. Okay, so if you recall just now, when you cite et al, correct? We have just now the Maniago, right? Maniago et al. Okay, this one. Okay, Maniago et al dot 2013. The year is bracket, and then you put comma lah. Okay, so this is if the author's name appear inside the text. Okay, not at the end of the text. Okay, you compare this one and this one. Okay, so both are et al. Okay, et al is when you have three or more authors, right? But you are citing this person at the end of the sentence. So instead of writing the according to Maniago or according to Kruger et al. Okay, so you want to write the sentence in a different way, okay, rather than having Kruger et al. Inside the text, where you need to change the style of writing lah. You cannot put. So the style of writing will determine whether you want to put the author's name inside the text or at the end of the text. If you decide you want to put at the end of the text, where the sentence is more appropriate, where you want to put the author's name at the end, so this is the way to cite the paper. And remember, this is et al. Okay, et al means at, there is no dot, al, you got the dot. Okay, but if you write inside the text, after dot, then you have the bracket, the year name. I mean the year. But if you are writing towards the end of the text, okay, Kruger et al. Dot, comma, the year. Okay, so let's see another example. Okay, where it, okay, okay, so this one by yeah, so this one is there are even more articles. You can see here. Kita cari yang mudah sikit. Yeah, this one. Nevertheless, this kind of conceptual framework is needed as foundation for research progress and development. So the sentence has finished, but this sentence you are referring to Elving et al. 2009. So again, okay, et al. Dot, comma, the year. Okay. Compare to, if you write in text, it should be et al. Dot, bracket, the year. Okay, then comma lah. Okay. So, but this one is, but this is again et al, meaning that more than two authors. Okay, so let's find another. Okay, this one. Another model of entrepreneur intention is the TPB. Okay, so this sentence is slightly different, meaning that Azjan, 1991. If you compare this one with, let's say another. Tadi. Okay, yeah, this one, right? Jacob and Ng, Jacob and Now, 2004. Similar study carried out by Jacobson and Now. Even though this is at the end of the sentence, but this is still in the context, because you are writing in the sense in the context of by Jacobson and Now. So bracket the year. Okay, but compare this one and this one just now. Okay, this is when you cite like this, meaning that this is at the end of the sentence, not inside the text. Okay, when you put the author's name, the name and everything is in the bracket. Okay, compared to the author's name outside followed by the year. Okay, kalau the name of the author is outside the year, this is inside the text. Okay, but if you put like this, the name of the author and the year is within the same bracket, so this must be at the end of the text. Okay, meaning that the way you are writing is not according to or by, okay, menurut Azjan, okay, or according to Azjan. If you write something like that, then the name of the author and the year must be separate, meaning that only the year is being put in bracket like this. Okay, when there is the word by, according to. Okay, so if you put only the year in bracket, means that you are citing the person in the text. But if you put the author's name and also the year within the same bracket, then it must be towards the end of the sentence. Okay, so the style of writing pun kena ubah lah, must be changed. If the reference is towards the end, so the writing style should be different than if you are citing inside the text like this, meaning that the author's name is outside, the year is only the year is in the bracket. Okay, so this is the two ways of citing lah, whether you want to cite inside the text or at the end of the text. Okay, so this is at the end of the text style writing. So because you want to mix, you don't want to have every style of writing the same. Okay, so sometimes this is the same also as Jen and Fishbein 1975. So this is again at the end of the text, meaning the author's name and the year is within the same bracket. Okay, not outside. Okay, so if you look at other examples, you will find something very similar. Okay, mana tadi? Okay, this one is similar to the earlier one. Okay, the name of the authors is outside, only the year is inside, meaning that this is inside the text. Okay, Guru Bose and Ecole 2008 developed this model, meaning that you are writing in just like according to Guru Bose and ICOS, they developed this model, something like that. So again, if only the year is in bracket, okay, the authors, you are citing this paper, you are citing this person inside the text. Okay, but if you want to change this style, okay, you want to put Guru Bose and Ecole 2008 at the end of the sentence, you must, meaning that this appear in the last part here. For example, this sentence is quite long, from here until here, right? Okay, so this is the whole sentence. It's quite a long sentence. So the whole sentence here is about referring to Guru Bose and Ecole. Okay, if you want to move this person name towards the end here, meaning that, okay, you are writing. Okay, if you want to put Guru Bose and Ecole dekat ujung, meaning that comma, Guru Bose and Ecole, comma 2008 close bracket. Okay, something like this lah. You are putting towards the end of the sentence. Okay, so if you want to move towards the end, you must change the style a bit. You cannot write this way anymore, because here is like you are talking from this person's side. Guru Bose and Ecole developed this model, blah blah blah. Okay, so the style of writing must be changed as well if you want to move this person towards the end. So if you want to move towards the end, you must put okay, bracket, Guru Bose and Ecole, comma, year, close bracket. Okay, just like let's see another example here. Like this lah. Okay, it is practical to study intention because the actual behavior is difficult to measure. Open bracket, Wu, comma, the year, close bracket. Okay, so this is you are citing at the end of the sentence, meaning the author's name is not inside the text but outside the text, because you already finished the sentence. Okay, the sentence has already finished, then you are citing this sentence belongs or is referring to the statement by Wu 2010. Okay, so I hope you get the point lah, in terms of how you are citing inside the text, okay, or you are citing at the end of the text, meaning outside the text lah. Okay, so this is outside the text. The sentence has already finished, and you want to say that this sentence belongs to Wu or is referring to the statement by Wu and Wu 2010. Okay, so this is if you are citing one person. But if that sentence belong to many person, meaning that the same sentence is referring to many articles. For example, like this one. Okay, so this is one example where one sentence, okay, one sentence here is referring to many authors, meaning that this sentence has been mentioned by Justiano, Moroki, Meng, and others. So this is very common because if you are focusing on an issue that is very popular, so it is not it is not surprising or it is not uncommon to see that many authors are referring or mentioning the same thing. Okay, so if the sentence, if this statement belongs or is referring to some other authors, and you want to refer these people at the end of the sentence, so this is the way you write. Okay, again, this is similar to just now this one lah. This is the end, but this is only by one person. But if you got more than 2 articles and above, okay, Justiano, Moroki, Maniago, Turneti, and Juang, so sama lah. Okay, there is no difference. The difference is just that if you got more than one, okay, for every different article, you need to put the semicolon here to differentiate between this is by a different article. This is different article, another article, okay, another article, okay, another article. So how many articles? These are all separated by the semicolon here. Okay, so you can see that every single article is separated by semicolon here. Justiano et al. Dot, comma, the year. Remember, if et al, after the dot, you must put the comma and the year. Okay, but if not et al, just 1 or 2 persons, Moroki, comma, the year. Okay, and then if 2 authors like this, Turinetti and Zhang, comma, the year. So the comma is always before the year lah. Okay, so if this is the way if you are referring towards the end of the article, meaning citing outside the text. Okay, compared to if you are citing inside the text, okay, the year must be in bracket. Okay, but if you are citing outside or at the end of the text, the year must the year is separate. The author's name and the year belong in the same bracket. Wu, comma, the year. Okay, so please go through as many theses as possible, okay, and see the different way to cite. Okay, so the most easiest one or the first style is you are citing inside the text. Okay, whether it's 1 person or 2 person or et al, 3 or more. Okay, so the year must be only the year is put in bracket. The author's name is outside the bracket. Okay, as what we mentioned just now lah, according to Maniago just now. Okay, so you can refer to this video afterward and see how. So please pay attention to properly citing the articles. Okay, so this is the most common one, the author's name, okay, and then bracket the year. Okay, 1 person, bracket the year. If 2 person, F-wing and someone. Okay, we already mentioned just now. See the example, kalau ada 2 orang, you put N. Okay, like this. So this is towards the end. That's why if you see something like this, meaning you are referring towards the end of the sentence because the author's name and the year belong in the same bracket. Okay, but if only the year is put in bracket, that means you are citing inside the text like this. Gurbus and Ecole 2008. So only the year is put in bracket. So this is citing inside the text. Okay, but if you put the author's name and the year within the same bracket, you are citing at the end of the text. Okay, please remember these two rules lah. Okay, so okay, but if you are making too many mistakes in your writing later on, so marks will be deducted lah, meaning errors in citing is a major problem in your writing style. Okay, meaning that you don't really understand how to properly cite an article in your project or in your journal. Okay, so this can affect the quality of your thesis. Okay, not just having nice numbers, nice figures, but okay, properly citing an article is itself the format that you need to follow when you are writing a paper or writing a thesis. Okay, so this is something that I'm really particular lah. Okay, that's why teaching you about literature review, okay, is part of the how to properly cite an article or a thesis or a conference paper. Okay, properly referring to the name, okay, in your article is very important. Okay, so one more thing before I move on to another example. AND and the symbol N. Okay. If you look at this one, okay. Okay, if you look at this, when you are citing towards the end of the article, you are using the symbol N. N as per, apa tu, as per design lah, okay. Ni lah, the sign N, okay, not the word AND. Okay, so there is a difference between where you want to type the word AND or you are simply using the symbol N like this. Okay, this symbol only used if you are citing towards the end of the article, meaning that if you look at this example just now, if you are citing towards the end, meaning outside the text, the sentence has already finished, then you are citing the articles and the article is written by two people. Okay, remember one person tak ada masalah lah, no issue. Okay, three people and above you use et al. Okay, Meng et al, John et al, meaning the article is written by 3, 4 or more authors. Okay, but if the article is written only by two people, you need to mention both authors. You cannot put et al. Et al written by two people is wrong. Okay, so please make sure that if the article is written by two, you must mention both authors' name. 3 or more, you cannot mention all people's name. You must use et al. Okay, but if the article is written by two, okay, which one should you use, AND or the symbol N? So the symbol, you are only using the symbol N, okay, yang cacing kerawit macam ni, if you are citing towards the end of the article or outside the text, when the text has already finished. Okay, but if you are citing within the text, like this just now, okay, if you are citing within the text, meaning the text has not finished yet, you are citing meaning that only the year is put in bracket. So the style of writing is different. Remember, okay, if you are writing like this, meaning that the way you write, you are referring directly to this person inside the text. Okay, but if you are citing within the text, you must use A and D, not the symbol N. Okay. The symbol N should only appear if you are citing outside or at the end of the text. So there must be a difference between using the symbol or using the word A and D. Okay, A and D, okay, when you are citing two, and the article is written by two authors, okay, you use A and D when you are citing inside the text. But the symbol, you use the symbol for N when you are citing towards the end of the text. Okay, so that is things that student, I mean, many people still make mistakes. Okay, so that's why you need to be particular about this style of writing. Okay, so if you are using, I mean, sama lah kalau you if you put, instead of you use symbol, you type A and D. Okay, so is formatting for apa, error in format lah, formatting error, just like typo error. Okay, you misspell the words. Okay, you have two repeated words A and D, N dua kali, 2 times in the same sentence, I mean side by side. So these are typo errors, I mean errors that shouldn't appear too many times. Okay, so meaning that you don't really understand about the formatting of your thesis. Again, writing a thesis is not simply getting the points across nicely using bombastic language ke apa ke. In fact, academic writing shouldn't be using too many bombastic words or creative style of writing. It's not like writing a novel. Academic writing is straightforward, plain English. It's not goreng-goreng English. Okay, it's not like you want to show that you have a master of, a high level of English. You can use simple, plain English, straightforward English, but the formatting must be, you must follow the proper way of writing. That is academic writing. Okay, because you don't see this kind of referencing in a newspaper. Okay, when you read newspaper, you won't see this kind of citation. This only appears in journal, conference paper, or thesis writing. Okay, all these articles, they share the same format. So that's what differentiates between a thesis or academic writing versus a blog or newspaper article. Okay, so when you are writing academic project thesis, you must follow the proper way. Okay, banyak lagi lah. These are but this thing takes time. But the best way is to refer to thesis, especially PhD thesis. Okay, sometimes master thesis, there are still a lot of mistakes, even though the student has finished the master's degree and the thesis you see in the library, sometimes it's not properly checked lah. But for a PhD thesis, should be less mistake. Okay, even though there can still be mistakes from the thesis that you read, but the quality of a PhD thesis should be much better than a master's thesis from the collection that you have in the library. Okay, in the Google Drive. So please, when you go through the thesis, it's not about trying to understand what the issue is about, but focusing on the style of writing. Okay, so when you go through any thesis, okay, go to the chapter 2, see how the student cite the work, okay, inside the text, outside the text. Okay, citing inside the text with only one person, with only with two authors, with three or more authors using et al. Okay, and then citing at the end of the text when you only referring to one author or one article, two articles, three articles like this, three or more articles. Okay, this sentence belongs to or referring to this bunch of authors. So here I think it's quite a nice example. You have et al. Okay, in et al. As one reference. You have two authors. Okay, two authors, and you also have one author here. So in this one particular paragraph in thesis number 12 here on page 145, you can see three different types of articles. I mean, three articles with, tiga bentuk lah. One with the et al, one with the two authors, and the other one with only one author. Okay, et al with the dot, comma, and the year. Okay, with two authors, use the symbol A and the short form for N. Okay, and also for one author. Okay, so this, even though the thesis that you are following might be, the format might be wrong. So this is, you can follow thesis number 12 ni, the one that I'm opening right now, okay, as one of the source of reference. Okay, if you want to follow if you want to have a proper way of citing your thesis lah. Okay, so in the next, I think on next Monday, okay, what we will do is I will show you, maybe I will show a bit today lah. Okay, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about the same thing over and over again. Okay, but of course I'm just highlighting the common things that you need to know when you are writing your literature review or any part on your thesis, because citing a paper does not only appear in literature review section or chapter 2. It must appear in every part of your thesis. Meaning that in your thesis, okay, even though there is a dedicated chapter 2 where this is the chapter where you want to explain, you want to summarize the articles as many as possible. But citing an article does not only appear in chapter 2. When I mentioned about et al. Or two authors or one author citing inside the text or citing towards the end of the text, okay, this style of writing does not only appear in your chapter 2. Okay, even in chapter 1 also you need to follow, you need to begin citing as early as in chapter 1, but not too many lah. Most of the citation will appear in chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2 is where you want to display that you have read, your thesis referring, you have read many articles that are relevant to your project. So these are the collection of articles that are relevant to your project. Okay, so you want to show in chapter 2, but in chapter 1, in the background of the study, you need to show maybe around 3 to 5 articles at least lah that are relevant to your project, at least to provide some evidence about the issue that you are investigating. even in chapter 3 in the method, okay, maybe you need to mention one or two authors, okay, from textbook where the method comes from. Okay, in chapter 4 in your results, when you already mention about when you have finished with your analysis, you want to show that your result is also similar to Mr. A. Your result might be similar to John 2014. Okay, your result is opposite to what John found in 2018, for example. Okay, I just use the name John lah. Okay, so this is where you also need to cite. You need to show that your conclusion is similar, is the same as Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. Okay, so citing an article will appear every chapter, okay, in your thesis. But most of the citation or referring to articles will appear mostly in your chapter 2. Okay, this is where you want to show that you have done your reading, you have read as many articles as possible related to your issue. Okay, you have you have arranged the summary of the articles according to the topic, especially to the questions that you want to ask. Okay, at least you have covered every single article lah, as many as possible related to your issue. But of course, in your project, your undergraduate project, okay, I don't expect maybe your literature review around maybe 10 to 15 pages long should be sufficient. Okay. So you need to select the more recent one, 2019, 20, 18, okay? Find the more recent articles lah related to your issue. Okay, so that will be the area where you want to show lah summarize articles related to your topic. Okay, any question so far? I'm the one doing the talking for the last 1 hour or so. You all macam biasalah, senyap saja. Okay, so okay, ini again lah. Okay, I cannot spend 3 lectures showing you how to cite. Okay, so this again lah. So I'm just giving you the summary of tips. Okay, the where you need to look for. Okay, kenapa ada A or B at the end of the year like this? Okay, A or B when the author is the same author publishes 2 articles in a year. Okay, or 3 articles A, B or C. Kalau A and B means the same author publishes 2 articles per year in the same year lah. So you want to differentiate which article is referring to A, which article is referring to B. Okay, and then the symbol and, okay, et al. When do you use et al? When do you cannot use et al? So 2 authors, just mention both names. 3 and above use et al. Okay, so that is the ni. Okay, and then I also mentioned last Monday about dividing your chapter 2 according to the first part is according to the theory. Okay, the theory that is relevant to the issue that you are investigating. So again, if the thesis that you are referring to, the journal that you are referring to as for your project, okay, kalau if there is no particular theory mentioned, then there's something wrong with the thesis lah. Okay, because literature review is academic writing, a thesis writing, a journal writing, you must have a grounded theory or a theory, at least one theory that must be that you can refer to, okay, to explain the behavior of the variables that you are investigating. Okay, barulah dipanggil sebagai academic writing. Okay, or else if there is no theory, suddenly you only summarize what John says, what Mr. A, B says, what Mr. X says, okay, without having any theory to support the findings, then it's like you are constructing a building without the pillars, tak ada tiang lah, only cement only, and then the building will collapse lah. Okay, so academic writing, a thesis writing without a grounded theory is like a person without a brain or a heart lah. Okay, so it means it has very little meaning. Okay, because you need you need a theories or one theory, two theories, where you can always refer your findings, okay, whether your finding is consistent with the theory or not. Okay, the theory can be a very simple theory, a moderate level of theory, or very advanced theory. But at your level, I think the theory that you use may be simple theory or medium level theory lah. Okay, because the issue that you are focusing for your project is supposed to be a very simple issue. So the theory also can be quite simple to understand. Okay, so you need to have a theoretical section at the beginning in your chapter 2. Okay, so again, there is no standard format lah, but I like this way of dividing the theoretical background and also the empirical part, okay, where you summarize articles lah in your. So, and then maybe you want to ask how much should you write for one article? Meaning that, okay, if you look at this particular thesis here, okay, ni apa, chapter, okay, this is chapter 3, okay. Let's go to chapter, ni mana, okay. Okay, so if you look at this particular chapter, okay, consumer prices. So this is one of the variable lah, which I think which is relevant about the cost of living, inflation, something lah. Okay, so you can see that in this one particular, let's say this particular paragraph, okay, so this student uses DBEL 2014, 2004, and also Turineti and Chuang 2011. Okay, so in this one paragraph, there are 2 articles. So I think this is an ideal one, meaning that you cannot have you cannot summarize one article in one very long paragraph, meaning that you are summarizing too much. Okay, when you are writing a literature review, okay, if you are reviewing or summarizing one article, usually the number of sentences or the length of the discussion or the summary of this article by DBEL should be not more than half of the paragraph. Meaning that if you look at this, so this is an ideal way of writing. Okay, so DBEL you summarize in 4 lines or 5 lines the most. Okay, Turineti and Juang is another 4 to 5 lines. And I think the student is quite consistent. Okay, for example, article by World's Week 2006, okay, around 4 lines. Wardron and Zampoli 2010, also around 4 lines, okay. Meng et al. Also around 3 or 4 lines. So every author that the student summarize is around the same length, around 4 lines, 4 lines of nilah in your thesis. So do not write, I do see student almost half a page summarizing one article, which is not the ideal way lah, because that means that you are not able to take the main part, the main findings of the article. Okay, if you write too long, meaning you tend to copy and paste, okay, too much from the paper. Okay, summarizing an article, only taking the main findings, what the author actually wants to, or the main contribution of the article, the main findings of the paper. Okay, so the ideal way should be, maybe 5 lines the most for one article. Let's say this one, Butter and Osakui, 2014, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, meaning almost 5 lines maximum. 4 lines for this article. Okay, Kim et al. Okay, around another 4 lines. So you can see that thesis number 12 here. Okay, you can use this as your guide as well, in terms of how much should you write for one particular article. Okay, 4 lines, 5 lines should be the most. Okay, the longer you write means that you are taking too much information from one article. So that is not a good way lah to cite. Okay, and the tendency for you to write too much, okay, in your literature review will be there lah, meaning that if you summarize one article almost half a page, if you review 10 articles, that means already 5 pages long already. Okay, because if half a page for one article, okay, so 10 articles already 5 pages long. So if you review 20 articles, meaning you already got like 10 pages, okay. So that is not ideal. You want to review as many articles as possible, with only highlighting the important parts in the journal, okay. So that is one more thing that you need to take note. Okay, the length of the discussion, or how much should you extract from the article. And usually the part that you want to extract in your article will be, let's say, usually the way to go is you go and read the abstract first. Okay, whenever you read, you are referring to an article, a journal. Usually the summary you can get from the abstract, and you can go straight to the conclusion. Okay, you go to the conclusion and you go to the abstract of the article. Okay, usually this is the way to go first. You read the abstract and then you read the conclusion. Okay, so this is how you want to get an overview of what the main findings of the paper, especially in the abstract. Okay, because an abstract of a journal is usually quite concise. Okay, in the journal, in the abstract, you can actually know already what is the main findings, what is the method used. Okay, what are the sample countries, or how many samples, where the samples come from, what are the focus, what are the scope of the study, especially what is the main findings. You want to actually highlight the main findings, the main conclusion. So that you can find in the abstract, and also you can go to the conclusion also. So this is where you might want to extract some information from the conclusion, and also in the abstract. Okay, one of the ways lah, if you want to write your literature review, okay, go back to the original article and read the abstract and also the conclusion. So that will give you more idea lah what the article is about. Okay, so I think apa tu, yeah, so continue updating on finish your chapter 1 submission tu by this Sunday. Okay, and then next Monday, okay, I will show you how to download articles from Google Scholar. Okay, and how to cite using Google Scholar, using the built-in system, and also how to use reference manager. Okay, reference manager means the articles that you download from the internet. Okay, from Google Scholar. Okay, you can use those. The one that I'm using is usually Zotero. Okay, Zotero is a reference manager where you can the articles, the references, the article that you want to use for your references. Okay, you can put it in a free software called Zotero lah. So you can download this online, for free. So this is my go-to reference manager. Okay, if you want to organize your articles according to, at least you can see lah where the articles, and then you can extract, you can convert this automatically to your references at the end of your project, your thesis. Okay, so this is one way lah that you can do. But I do not want to spend too much time on Zotero, because you can learn this on YouTube. Okay, it's quite simple to understand. So I will just show you maybe just the basics of extracting how to use Google Scholar to extract information so that you can put into Zotero, your reference manager. Some use Mendeley. There are many free softwares nowadays where you can use to organize your references properly. Okay, so for me, I prefer to use Zotero. Okay, other lecturers, they might be using EndNote. EndNote. Some might be using Mendeley. Okay, there are many other free reference manager lah. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Okay, again, we don't have much time for discussion. Okay, which I think you all like this way lah. You all tak cakap apa pun. Okay, so but next Monday, I think I need everyone to to share your screen. especially I want to see how you want to extract data, articles from the Google Scholar, okay, and how you want to export them into your Microsoft Word or to software like Zotero. Okay, so please download Zotero first. Okay, you can just go to Google, type Zotero. Okay, and then you can see. It's quite a simple. Okay, yeah, this one. Okay, so it's a free application for you to use. Okay, to apa tu organize your references. So at least when you have Zotero installed in your laptop, okay, and then when you share your screen, okay, I can at least see how you can use Google Scholar to export into Zotero. Okay, it's a very simple steps, just 2 or 3 steps to do, but it is very handy lah, very useful. Okay, especially if you want to towards the end of your project, you want to export every article that you refer to in a nice sequence, and the style of referencing semua dah siap susun dah. Okay, tak payah nak, then you will make less mistake lah when you want to organize your reference at the end of your thesis. You must have this reference list, okay, and the format that you want to do here. Okay, Zotero can do it for you lah, okay, or the reference manager can do it for you. So rather than you need to do manually, okay, making it italic ke bold ke whatever lah. So this actually is the job of reference manager. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Okay, so we'll continue next Monday. So I expect everyone to submit, every group lah, to submit one in PDF format. Okay, latest by Sunday night lah. Okay, on this coming Sunday. Okay, so